Once, in a small coastal town, lived a young boy named Ethan. Ethan was known for his intelligence and quick wit, but he carried with him a rebellious spirit that grew stronger with time. His parents, James and Mary, were hardworking and loving, doing their best to provide for their son and help him achieve his dreams. They believed in guiding him with love and patience, teaching him the values of honesty, perseverance, and kindness. However, Ethan often felt that they didn't truly understand him or his desires. His father would often speak of discipline and responsibility, and his mother would share stories of their own struggles, hoping to inspire him to make wise choices. But to Ethan, their advice felt like chain something that held him back from living life on his own terms. As Ethan grew older, he became increasingly distant from his parents. He began skipping school, spending more time with friends who led him into trouble, and engaging in behaviors that his parents disapproved of. His once bright future started to dim as he became more careless with his studies and his relationships. At home, arguments between him and his parents became frequent, and with each passing day, the distance between them grew wider. Ethan believed that he had to break free from his family's expectations to find his own happiness. He didn't want to rely on anyone, least of all his parents. One evening, after a heated argument with his mother, Ethan stormed out of the house, slamming the door behind him. His mother, Mary, stood by the window, watching him disappear into the night, her heart aching with worry. Her eyes filled with tears, and she knew that she couldn't go after him. She had to let him make his own choices, but the thought of him wandering down the wrong path was unbearable. That night, as she lay in bed, her mind heavy with worry, she began to pray a prayer that came straight from the depth of her heart. She didn't pray for wealth or success for her son. She simply prayed for his safety, for his heart to be softened, and for him to find his way back to them. She prayed for guidance, for wisdom, to know what to say and when to let go, and for strength to endure. She prayed for patience, believing that, in time, her son would remember the love they shared and the values they had once instilled in him. Days turned into weeks, and even though Ethan continued down a destructive path, something inside him began to shift slowly but surely. The more he distanced himself, the more his mother's voice echoed in his mind, her gentle words reminding him of the importance of making good choices. But what resonated the most were the silent prayers she spoke every night, prayers that spoke of hope, of forgiveness, and of unconditional love. One evening, after a particularly difficult day, Ethan found himself walking past a small church in town. It had been years since he'd stepped inside a place of worship, but something inside him urged him to enter. As he sat there, alone in the stillness, memories from his childhood began to flood back, memories of family dinners, of laughter shared around the table, and of his mother's soft voice reading bedtime stories to him. A wave of nostalgia swept over him, and for the first time, he began to think deeply about what he had lost the love his parents had shown, the sacrifices they had made, and most importantly, the power of his mother's prayers. Tears filled Ethan's eyes as he sat there, overwhelmed by the realization. Slowly, it dawned on him how his mother's prayers had never stopped. Through every storm, every sleepless night, she had prayed for him, not in desperation, but with unwavering faith. Her prayers weren't loud or commanding. They were quiet, filled with hope and deep love prayers that spoke of hope, forgiveness, and a belief in the goodness she knew existed within him. The next morning, Ethan woke up with a renewed sense of clarity. He no longer felt the need to rebel or seek independence at the cost of losing everything that truly mattered. He realized how much he had taken for granted the love of his parents, the sacrifices they had made for him, and the strength in their prayers. With a humble heart, Ethan returned home. He approached his parents, his eyes filled with sincerity, and quietly asked for forgiveness. His father, James, looked at him with a mix of relief and joy, while his mother, Mary, reached out and embraced him tightly. Her eyes glowed with tears of relief, tears of happiness, and tears of hope finally realized. From that day forward, Ethan began to walk a new path, a path of responsibility, of kindness, and of gratitude. He remembered the power of his mother's prayers, the way they had softened his heart, guiding him back to the love and care of his family. And in return, Ethan began to cherish every moment he spent with his parents, valuing their wisdom and their presence in his life. This story beautifully captures the power of a mother's love and prayer. It serves as a reminder of how a mother's prayers filled with faith and unconditional love can break through the toughest, barriers and guide even the most wayward hearts back to the right path. It also teaches the invaluable lesson of recognizing the true worth of parents and appreciating their sacrifices.